In the second article that you've got up here for presentation on Blackboard, it's going to be getting at where do the federal dollars go for research by federal agency or kind of area. So where does the United States government spend all of its money on research? Is it the Department of Defense, like the military and such? Is it energy, environmental protection, NASA, going to the moon, studying the stars? Is it weather patterns and NASA with respect to maybe, or NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration? Or is it healthcare or disease prevention and drug discovery? Where do the dollars go? So you open up that report and you're going to see some information in the headline about, cuts and increases and so forth. Keeping in mind that this is dated from 2016, 2017, and the report was released in 2018, and it's got it listed with like the National Science Foundation here. Now, when you look at the federal obligations and outlays for research, we see that at these numbers, 117,481 times a million. So you've got a pretty big dollar figure, getting up into the billions here on obligations for research. It gives you some more exact numbers, but in terms of relative comparisons of the money that's spent, we've got 66,722 times a million going for basic research and applied research. That was in 16. Pretty similar as a overall number in millions, but still pretty big difference actually, when you're looking at how many dollars it really is. But overall though, not a big percent change. But most of the money is being split pretty evenly between basic and applied research, with applied research solving problems getting a little bit more. There's also what we call experimental development. You've got 51,790. So compared to like research, experimental development is a little bit less than research overall, but more than basic research or applied research. All right, in terms of like the dollars, the Department of Health and Human Services accounted for the largest share of federal research obligations. So they got $32.2 billion. And then the Department of Energy got about $10 billion, 15%, followed by Department of Defense, and then the National Science Foundation, then NASA, then the Department of Agriculture. So where do these dollars go with these respective agencies? And it breaks them down into basic research and applied research. And you can see there's a fair number of even splits in some regards. So DoD has a bit more that goes to applied. Department of Energy's got more that goes to applied. Department of Health and Human Services got a pretty even split. NASA does a lot of basic research. National Science Foundation primarily does basic research, but they still do applied research. And then other agencies of the federal government do applied research. So what goes on in these different agencies? So Department of Agriculture, they have a big entity called the National Institute for Food and Agriculture. So you're thinking about applied research and basic research related to how we may grow our crops better. There's water quality issues related to agriculture. There's nutrition that kind of goes into like agriculture. So there's a lot that goes on, like how to use SNAP benefits for improving human health, making sure that everybody has access to food. There's a lot that can go into agriculture type money. All right, DoD, Department of Defense, you can imagine, there's a wide range of things that the Department of Defense could fund. Everything from the Army Corps of Engineers has a research program for even how to build structures and stuff. But there's a lot of other things that you can imagine the Department of Defense spending their money on. Department of Energy, they actually run our national labs. So they subcontract a lot of research to Battelle and Bechtel Parsons and others. Oak Ridge, you guys may have heard of them. It's a Department of Energy funded site. They used to do, and they probably still do, a good bit of nuclear energy related research. nuclear related research. There's a lot that they could potentially be funding. The Department of Health and Human Services, again, that's where the lion's share of the federal money on research goes. That includes the National Institutes of Health. So drug discovery, disease prevention, that's a big part of it. There's also within that agency, you have potential dollars going to like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. You have movement of money potentially towards like the Health Resources Services Administration. How do we study the number of doctors and nurses in the country, and are they being distributed or hired in places so that everybody has access to health care? So there's a lot that the Department of Health and Human Services funds, but the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, which is a huge research entity, is where a lot of that money goes. And NIH is very popular in the news these days with the coronavirus. So National Science Foundation, NASA, so National Science Foundation, you can think of like basic research in physics, biology, basic research in chemistry. There's a lot there. Other departments like Fish and Wildlife Service, Forest Service, even the Environmental Protection Agency, they all may have applied research topics related to given particular problems where they are needing to study. So who's the big one? The big one in this report, who gets the most money, it would be the Department of Health and Human Services, and where that's going is probably mostly to the NIH. They are followed by the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense. And the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense work closely together actually a lot on a number of projects. Many DOE research projects relate to topics where the Department of Defense may have created some problems for the Department of Energy to study, or the Department of Energy created problems for themselves in the intent to help the Department of Defense going back, to the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. I'm going to stop here so you should have an appreciation for where federal dollars are going for research and which agencies are getting the most money. So if you're going to be looking for money, understand which agencies actually have the most to potentially provide. Not to say that the other agencies don't provide any, but most of it comes from the Department of Health and Human Services.